Well, howdy, y'all. Rudrani Devi, the happiness lady, the inaugural Humpty Hump Day. Happy Hump Day, y'all. Why do we call well, in the US of A, we call Hump Day the middle of the week, Wednesday. So those of you that do the normal working everyday thing, Monday through Friday, or in some places now it's Monday through Thursday, I've noticed, you would call this Hump Day. So what are we going to talk about today? What about considering you? What about considering you in your life? What do I even mean by that? Well, let me just tell you something. How many times have you seen people get completely lost in their relationships or in their work or, trying to be a certain way or do the right thing? The perfect friend, husband, wife, child, parent, and then we shame ourselves and we forget ourselves in the mix. And I just had a conversation with my friend Kimberly Stewart, and that's what we were talking about, because we have a tendency to teach people how to treat us because we're treating us in a way that is not honoring. What would it look like if you actually made yourself the valuable product? What would it look like if you actually put yourself first? And what would that look like? What would that create and generate for your life and your living? I was in several relationships where I tried to be the perfect girlfriend, act the perfect way, dress the perfect way, all the things. And I like dressing, y'all. I love being a lady. I love the jewelries, the diamond earrings, all the things. This ain't no act. It's not a persona or, an identity, right? But I tried to make sure that in every relationship, I was revered as the perfect girlfriend. And what happened? Well, because I wasn't honoring of myself to ask, what could work for me, I was teaching whomsoever I was dating how to treat me, to the point where, I kid you not, including my marriage, in every single relationship, I was, putting in quotes, cheated on. Okay. They would step out on me. And even if I thought it was happening, I had a suspicion, I would always turn it back around to me and be like, well, obviously I'm not doing something right if they've got to step out on me. Now how messed up is that, right? I'm not enough. I wish I could be enough for this person so they wouldn't have to find somebody else. Well, it has nothing to do with me if they're stepping out. The part that would have to do with me is me making that okay. If I was actually willing to say, what, hey, this doesn't work for me. Do you want to do the work? Or, I'm out of here. But if I've entrained them to believe that I am much less than and they have the right to do whatever, then that's what's going to get created, y'all. So after my marriage ended, yes, well, it had to. He started a family with somebody else while I was in a wheelchair. And this is my little violin playing. It was the best thing that happened to me. You know why? It made me face what I had been doing. It made me look at what I had been creating. Because guess what? Things don't just happen to you. You co-create all of it. The good, the bad, the ugly. And when you get to that space of being accountable for what's showing up in your life, then and only then can you change it, people. Right? So what I'd been doing is I'd been divorcing myself in all of my relationships. Seriously. Even when I would have family over, because I hosted, I think, a couple of Thanksgivings before I moved my mom in with me in late 2020. And I would always try to make it this lavish event, out try to outdo my mom, which is so funny because, she would, oh Lord. I came from a very big family, very big house. And we would all descend upon her for the entire weekend. And she would have breakfast, lunch, and dinner, clean up the place, do all the things. So she had taught me, well, to be a great host and to put myself last. Sorry, Celeste. We do things differently now. My family visits a lot. They descend upon my home a lot, and it's not as big as my mother's home was. It's about, I don't know, a third of the size. So there's cots everywhere. We got to put some people up in the garage, put some up in the sunroom. My office is a bedroom, usually, especially when my brother comes to visit, because there's a private bathroom right there. And so I end up moving myself into my bedroom or into the sunroom. It's crazy and chaotic. But I've finally set down some ground rules. I'm like, okay, this is my house. Please respect my house. Please put your dish away. Hey, y'all, here's cereals and Pop-Tarts and all kinds of things. Well, I don't have any Pop-Tarts, but eggs and bacon and all that. Y'all can make your own breakfast. Here's the coffee machine. You just push a button and it grinds the coffee. How could it be any easier? And, and I made it to this space of, hey, you're welcome in my home, and honor my space. And it changed a lot of things. Well, maybe some of you think, Rue, that's easy for you to say, but in my family, this is the way it's always been done and it's expected of me. And that's fine too. And how hard is it to actually ask for help? I wanted to be Superwoman, the one that could handle everything, And y'all, I'm a bit of a control freak. I admit it. ADD, ADHD, a little autistic. If you were to see my closet, I can have control over my closet. So it's very controlled. You go in there and I have like 5 pink purses, but they are in, color order from the lightest pink to the brightest pink. And then the blue purses and then the shoes, the heels. I've got so many pairs of kicks. It's crazy. I love my high tops. I should have stock probably in Converse. Love the Converse. So, I love order and control because it allows me to be chaotic and to just at the drop of a hat to be able to pick up and go anywhere. So, but I can't do that in my entire life. I can control what works for me. It was like, I finally had to let go of the control of where the dishes go. So my brother's like, how can I help? And I said, well, dishwasher's done. You could put everything away. And then, after he left, I'm going back through the cupboards and putting the stuff that he didn't quite know where to put it to where I know where to put it. Yeah, I am that person that will go behind you and straighten out the towel rack. And you know what? That's okay. I made it pretty clear to my family. Hey, this is kind of how I am. It actually works for me. There was one instance, my sister was visiting from Canada with her husband, and I was washing up. I'd done my workout and was getting ready to come into the main room, and I saw my sister pouring jasmine rice into this container of arborio rice. And I'm like, what are you doing? And my mother says, I told her to do it. It's my fault. I said, that's right. It is your fault. I said, they cook at 2 different rates. And what she didn't know was I wasn't even using that arborio rice. It's like this much at the bottom. I can't believe I'm telling you all this silly story. Just trying to tell you what a control freak I am. We went to valuable product to considering yourself, you and your life, to control freak. But follow along with me. Punchline is coming. So anyway, what I use that arborio rice is I have a Kangen water machine and I put the water into a jug, and that jug sometimes starts growing greenery, which isn't bad for you. It's just algae, right? But it grosses everybody out. And, once you get a lot of algae in there, water starts tasting funny and all the things. So I put the arborio rice in there with water to shake it to get all the green off because I can't get my hand down this little tube to clean it that way. And then I do the sudsy thing and then I rinse it out. And that's what that rice was for. So what do? Control. I'm like going through it with a spoon trying to pick out everything that I can save my jasmine rice. And my older sister, who knows that I'm cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, sits there and helps me. And then they were like, are you okay? And I said, yes, this keeps me from getting angry. And it's kind of like when you have jewelry that gets all tangled up. I'm that person with 2 needles pulling it apart. And that's actually very calming for me. And it's very honoring for me because it's a way for me to relax myself. Another honoring thing that I do where I'm finally putting myself in the mix, and I had this conversation with Kimberly, was when I moved my mom in, I stopped working out. And I started feeling tired because I didn't have any energy, you know. I used to go for long walks. I would do Pilates 4 days a week, sometimes 5. I was a runner. I've run 10 marathons, y'all. Don't know if you knew that. The Boston Marathon was my last one, and I used to run a half marathon every Friday to keep myself to marathon status, you know, so I could just get ready for another race. All the things, but I'd given it all up, thinking that, okay, now's the time for me to give this up. I remember my friend Dr. Dane here telling a story about when he moved in with Gary, and he used to run, but Gary didn't like running, so he stopped running, and he was becoming cranky pants because he wasn't honoring of himself. And Gary was like, well, just because I don't like running doesn't mean you have to stop running. But how many times do we do that? Okay, now that I'm married, I have to give up my friends. I can't do this or that thing anymore because it's not, you know, that's not being a good wife. Oh, now that I have these kids, I have to drive them everywhere and do all the things. Well, yeah, you know, there's a responsibility to being a parent, but there's also this responsibility of you caring for you. So that's what I mean by, you know, is now the time for you to actually include you in your life. Maybe you already are. Maybe you're that example, that rare unicorn dragon person that actually does consider themselves first, you know. And I'm not talking about a narcissist way of considering yourself first. I'm talking about that healthy, what can I do for me today that would make me happy right away, you know. So for me, and I'm training my team now because it's only been since May, I think the end of May, that I started to do this. 10 a.m. every day, I'm either on an online workout, weightlifting workout, or I'm doing a stretch class or yoga or Mandu. Love Mandu, y'all. Check it out. You know what? I'm actually going to put the link underneath. They are my sponsor for my podcast, Choosing Happiness Podcast. And it's an amazing workout where you have TENS units basically in a jumpsuit. You step into, they strap you up with it, and 15 minutes, only 15 minutes, you're working out. And it turns off and on and forces your body to work muscles, and dare I say muscles you probably never ever use because you can't, you know, it's devised in such a way. It's like, how in the world do you work out your lower hips or whatever, you know? But you can actually build muscles and whatnot. And since I've been doing Mandu, I've put on, I think, 12 pounds, 13 pounds of muscle and lost like 8 pounds of fat. So just for a reference point, y'all, a pound of muscle looks like this. A pound of fat looks like this. So even though I may be a couple of 5 pounds more, I think, than I was before, I'm actually a whole dress size smaller. So that's one way of honoring yourself. Maybe it's your cup of coffee sitting outside in the mornings. I also get in my hot tub and commune with Mother Earth. She has a heartbeat, y'all, and loves the contribution and will contribute to you. So these are my ways, you know, and my morning is so special to me because I work out and I connect with Mother Nature, and then I'm ready for my day and setting a present for my entire day. And then how do I honor my mother? Well, sometimes we go to lunch and that's when we catch up. Dinner time, you know, we'll watch her shows. We both like those what is it, like singing shows, and last night it was one of the dancing shows. Can't even remember it. So You Think, no, that's the show I like. So You Think You Can Dance is the franchise I like. And then there's that other one. I can't remember the name of it, that she just loves, and it's actually gotten pretty good, I gotta say. Anyway, I digress. I guess the point is, find your happy. Find something that makes you happy And don't apologize for it. Like it's taking time out of your day that you could be spending with others or whatever. We're talking about 1 hour, man. If you can't give yourself 1 hour in a day, then you are definitely teaching people to not respect your time. So by all means, don't do that anymore if that's what you're doing. So that's your happy hump day advice from the happiness lady. Even wrote a book about it. Choosing happiness speaks few languages, an uncommon way to find joy in your life. So, and you can get it on Audible and you'll have me in your era. It's great. Quick read. 2.5 hours maybe, if that. All right, y'all. Thanks for listening if you've listened this long. And until next time, y'all. Ciao, ciao for now. Mm-hmm.